Hi, everyone. Welcome to our very own. And today, our special guest is a GAWAD URIAN awardee, a filmmaker. Finally, we got one. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, we have Remton Zuasola.
Hello, hi Jigs. Good afternoon. Good day to everyone.
Whatever time they're going to watch this, right?
Whatever time.
Kalambara
good
kita,
day.
Remton. So we're seated here in the Ayala Center Cinemas, and we'll be talking about film. So for the information of those watching this interview, we're inside, you heard it right, at the Ayala Center Cinema 5, and we are 2 seats apart. This is going to be the way it will be done in the new normal. When you finally get to watch a movie in the wide screen, you're going to have to be seated at least 2 seats apart. So be ready for that, and there'll be some instructions where to pass and all of that stuff. You'll be made aware what to do inside the theater, all right? That's happening very soon. I mean, today we're just warming up the seats for you. Okay, finally, I said finally, we have a filmmaker because I've always wanted to talk to a filmmaker, Remton, because I know for a fact my parents would talk about movies back in the good old days. My grandparents would talk about the golden age of film in the Visayas. There were so many Bisaya films. And for some odd reasons, the Bisaya film has ceased to become an industry but has been reduced to what you would call a scene, right?
Yes.
Remton, we'll talk about your award-winning movie, the Eleuteria movie, in a few moments. But before we get to that, Remton, can you kindly tell us, what do you think happened between the golden age of the Bisaya film scene to where we are now? Unsa may netabo bay?
You know, also, just like what you said, no, Murag, the stories of this golden age of Cebuano or the Visayan cinema, wala na pong kukabot ana, no? Murag, the stories na lang ang akong nadunggan. I even haven't seen any of those films. I've seen some clippings nga nakasurvive. I've seen one katong Manok ni San Pedro, starring of course, si Teba, no? He's a very well-known character in the Visayas. I've also seen some stills of Badli sa Kinabuhi, which were, these were the films that were very famous during this time. I've attended some lectures talking about the golden age. This is what they call the golden age of the Visayan cinema. And most historians would agree that one of the reasons na nung namatay siya is because the famous actors and actresses who are the parang sila ang prized good na mga
A-list
stars, yes,
so to speak, yes?
Yes, of this industry, the Cebuano film industry then, because they were so popular. Murag ang mga filmmakers, the producers in Manila have noticed this because by this time Cebuano cinema and the cinema in Manila parang they're at the same level lang, no? They're even competing with the Cebuano films were competing internationally for the international film festivals. And murag tanaw siguro sa mga taga Manila, no? These actors and actresses have a good following, no? Mukita gud ilang mga salida. And to think man good, when you say Cebuano films, kung Bisaya imong pelikula, mas wider mong audience because Visayas and Mindanao speaks Bisaya, whereas Tagalog always spoken there, no? So technically speaking, mas daghan ang Bisaya, mas daghan makasabot og Bisaya. So mas daghan mo tanaw. So murag the way siya described sa mga historians was this A-list actors from Cebu were enticed to go to Manila. Mas tako ang bayad, mas I think they have the perception siguro na mas prestigious, no? So they went there, and of course ang ilang fan base, now they were making Tagalog films. The fan base in Cebuano Visayan crowd would shift put into watching these films that their idols are now making. And for the film producers here in Cebu who were left with pura bitog na empty ang ilang nest.
Brain drain, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah? Talent drain.
Yes. So murag inana. So they have to act fast and train new actors, you know. Promote them, for them to gain a following, fan base. It takes years. It takes time to do that. So murag wala gid siya ka bawi na. Wala na siya ka recover from that.
So if you're saying that the films from the Visayas or from Cebu made money, or at least it looked lucrative because of the wide market, because the Bisaya-speaking islands are from the Visayas and Mindanao, right? And Luzon is just Luzon. I mean, Tagalog dito. So it was profitable to make Visaya or Bisaya films. Ngano man nga nalure man to ang taga Cebu nga, when in fact there's more money to be made here in the Visayas. I don't understand why nganong na convince sila to work in Luzon when in fact you said nga murag profitable man ka ang Bisaya film industry nga naman mas lucrative good sa Manila, because I imagine, I don't know what it was a long time ago. Of course, Manila is denser.
Yes.
There's more people in Manila, right?
Yes.
It's a more cosmopolitan
Yes.
place in Luzon. So, unsa man, like, was it really as profitable as Manila? Were really at par? Or ang Manila nakakuha na yun, nakagamot na yun, so to speak?
I think so. The Philippine cinema industry has celebrated its 100 years of existence in 2000, somewhere in 2018, 2019. It was a 2-year or 3-year celebration.
Okay.
Because the first Filipino films were made in that time, during that time, around 1918 and 1919, somewhere there. But it was discovered lately that the very first film made in the Philippines, shot in the Philippines by a Filipino, was shot here in Cebu.
Whoa, what movie was this?
This is a short documentary reel about, I think, the funeral, the burial of the wife of Serios Menya. This was made by the father of Philippine cinema, Nepomuceno. So, giconsider siya the father of Philippine cinema because siya ang first nga naghimo og pelikula. Filipino, pure blood Filipino, nga naghimo og pelikula din sa Pilipinas.
Shot in Cebu.
Yes, that was the first
Recorded
film nga gi-shoot here. But he made his first feature film a year after that. So that was 1919. So that was, for the longest time, that was considered to be the first film made in the Philippines.
1919.
Yes.
1919.
Yes.
Okay.
That was considered for the longest time the first ever film in the Philippines, made in the Philippines, shot by a Filipino. But it was later discovered that he made another film.
The same person, Nepomuceno?
Previously, before he made his first film, he made that short documentary in Cebu, which was in 1918.
Okay.
So, murag, it's very important. It's very historical sad on our end. No, na it's very telling that the first film in the Philippines was shot in Cebu, but shot by someone from Luzon who came here to Cebu to shoot it. So, if we look at that detail, I think the first establishment of a film studio was made in Manila. And naturally, it would bloom there. And later, it would also come to Cebu, and studios would also sprout here. So, I think the film industry was more advanced in Manila by the time.
But just by a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a wide lead, so to speak, right? I mean, ang diferensya ni gamay kayo ligas la, so to
Yes.
speak, right? But karon, like, ang atong film industry, like you said before we turned on the camera, was we don't even have an industry here in Cebu. We cannot call it an industry anymore because it is just a film scene.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Manila film scene is, in a way, booming. I know a lot of Cebuano actors who have gone and relocated to
Yes.
Manila so that they can get a better livelihood, right?
Yes.
So, ang reason ana is katong just the mere fact nga mura og gipirate, so to speak,
Yes.
ang mga taga Cebu nga actors to make movies in Manila, and we never recovered from that.
Also, yes, that's one main reason the historians.
Okay, that's what they said.
Well, that's what they said.
Okay.
But of course, we'll never really know what
Yeah.
really
What
happened. Maybe because also, no, by this time, siguro, the Tagalog was slowly being spread out to be the national language of the Philippines also, no? So, murag, I think film became like one of these major drivers of that. Na, just like now, we're Cebuanos, but we know how to speak Tagalog because aside from
Media,
learning at
yeah.
school, but we saw it in TV, in radio, in film, so it comes natural to us because of that. And I think doing Tagalog films, spreading it all over the Philippines, it became for a time siguro it became like a tool in spreading out the language to everyone else in the archipelago.
Ikaw, Remton, at what point in your life did you realize nga you wanted to make film?
It was very early. It was very early. I remember I initially wanted to become a journalist. This was in high school. I really wanted to be a journalist. I grew up watching Noli de Castro or Corina Pinatubo explosion, and they're in the middle of Lahar reporting. That was for me very exciting. You know, to see history unfold
Yeah.
right before your very eyes.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
very parang I really want to have that job. It's a dream job for me. But later on, I don't know what happened. During college, when I was about to enter college, I tried exploring the mass communication route, but then I also saw advertising being offered in San Carlos. And when I saw the list of courses that they're offering, the subjects that they're offering, it's more varied. You have subjects about filmmaking, photography, design, painting, everything, and of course advertising. So for me, it became like this very colorful world that I got. Parang it's like Alice in Wonderland na nasud ko dito ba in this hole where na wala jud ko nag-regret. It's a good decision because I really felt like this is the field that I wanted to be working on for the rest of my life. And then it was there that I discovered cinema. Slowly I discovered cinema. We studied Western cinema, Philippine cinema. Dito ko na murag kuan ko na murag na there's this spell nga fell upon me ba when I saw this film called Cinema Paradiso. And
Is it a film noir kind of movie?
no,
Who made that movie?
It's an Italian film.
Okay.
A classic Italian film about this film director, big time film director who reminisced about his childhood
Okay.
back in Italy. So pagtanaw na ako ng silidahan, nakaingon ko how powerful cinema is, no? Cinema, among all the other arts, is one of the art forms nga mo go straight into your heart, into your soul. It's so good siya ba? Because it's so relatable. It's so the emotions nga mo
Larger
makita.
than life, like the
Yes.
screen in front of us, right?
Tinood, namura ko na felt na ko ang power sa cinema that it can change people. No, you can send message. Depende, not necessarily you speak the same language, but when you show film, the language of film is universal. Everyone can understand it.
So what was the lesson? What was the change that Cinema Paradiso stirred in you, like in your soul? Do you remember what that was? How did you feel when you saw that movie?
When I saw that movie, I said to myself, I want to be a film director.
Why was that? What was in the movie? How
How
did you feel?
I just felt that the movie was so powerful. The message that is sent, I don't know what the filmmakers wanted, what message it wanted to send to me or to the audience, but it felt like, when you hear your calling, or you see someone and you fall in love.
It was love at first sight.
Yes,
for you.
it was very unexplainable. Na murag, you just knew na, okay, this is what I want to become. To be telling stories through film. To hope to change people through sending message to cinema.
Okay.
It's very unexplainable. Parang na blind spell ko ba na.
You were under the spell of cinema,
yes.
right?
So it became like this non-stop quest for me to like dig for fantastic films, to look for really film treasures na beyond what we're seeing every day. No, there are hard to find films that you really just have to dig deep to like find it. Mao na murag one of those things na murag really make me happy to see these films.
So when you found cinema in school, in advertising, right? Because there was no film school at that time, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of sort of found cinema in film, in your advertising course. So what happened there? Like, when did you learn your directorial skills, your cinema making skills, filmmaking skills? Where did you learn that, since you don't formally get taught in advertising school, right?
Yes. In advertising school, we have we touch a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But
Just the basics,
enough, yeah.
yes. Just the basics, just to keep your machine running. No? Murag kung sakuan pa warm up. And then once mudagan imong machine og full speed interest sa film, I became very hungry for knowledge, for anything about film. Mura jud ko crazy, mad, maniac, looking for anything, books, magazines, films to watch, and then any openings I can get into. Like by this time, AAFT, the International Academy of Film and Television, opened in Cebu, and they have this mentors from Hollywood. They're bringing in to teach film, and I remember at the time it was very expensive school to go into. Like I could not afford this, but my classmates were really enrolling there for the summer courses, and I really find ways to go in there. I moved heaven and earth just to get a spot in there, and really just studied, anything I can.
So you went to film school in that school, or you
Yes.
just tried to get a job?
I enrolled in the
okay.
courses.
All right.
It was very
So this was your first formal training?
formal training. Yes,
Okay.
I initially wanted to enroll in directing, but at this time the directing classes was full. So after so many troubles, so many back and forths, I eventually fell into acting class of all classes.
Okay.
Not my choice, but it's the choice of fate or destiny, maybe, that I landed in that class. It was the most awkward first day when the teacher, asked you to act in front of the class. But I eventually warmed up on the, I have this. This is what I have. What this was given to me, so I have to make the best out of this. It turned out to be a very lucky thing for me, because learning acting became a very good foundation for me in directing films.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I really understood how actors worked, and I really understood how to nurture them to give the good performance that you wanted as a director. And then eventually I moved on to directing, and then
Tell us about your first film.
my first film, it was I have so many short films. I made around 20 short films before I made my first feature-length film.
Okay, but your first short film, what was that?
My first short film was it was about this I can't remember even. No, God. Oh, the first short film I made during my class in AFT was about this two best friends. One is sick, the other was comforting him, and then they were making jokes. And they were playing pranks on their yaya, like, oh, nagmamatay na siya, and then wala ra day, joke ra, and then one day nagprank sila sa katong ilang yaya, and then namatay na gyud siya tinuod. Murag inana.
Okay.
So,
how did it feel like to finally make your first film?
it was the baby step. There were so many mistakes. There were so many. But it's like the scratch paper. It's like kanang. It's like the scratch paper na imong kumuton day labay. Murag inana ang feel. It was not glamorous. It didn't look good. It didn't feel good. But it was the first step towards my direction. And I remember at the time, I wasn't so happy with how it came out. But I learned so many things along the way while making it. And then I saw my mistakes. My mistakes became very apparent. And I made sure not to repeat them. So that's why maybe it took me like around 20 short films before my breakout short film happened. This short film was called To Show My Love. To show my meaning, show my na pagkaon.
Okay.
Because I grew up in Tisa.
Okay, all right.
That's my barangay.
All right.
And before Siomai sa Tisa.
Tisa is the Siomai capital of Cebu, for the
Yes.
information of our viewers.
Di ako magtambay.
Okay.
When I was in my high school, college days. And at this time, dili pa kayo sikat ang Siomai. Maupay pagsugod niya.
Okay.
And di kami matambay, mag-inom, mabuntagan sa Siomayan. And there were so many stories happening in that place. They call it Waitugpahay, meaning it's 24/7 filled with people. So we just diha mag-inom diha.
So that was the movie,
Yeah, the movie
Show My Love.
To Show My Love. It's about these two strangers who happen to meet in the Show My place. Nangaon sila, nagstorya sila, and then there's a fire ignited between them. They're both broken-hearted so nagstorya sila, and then nice spark.
So this is a love story.
This is a love story between two broken-hearted people and nagmeet sa Siomayan.
Who love Siomai.
Yes, this was my first attempt on shooting it in one long take.
Okay.
So this is just two people eating siomai there, and
So the entire movie was just them talking
talking.
in the Siomai place.
Yes,
How long was this?
28 minutes.
28 minutes of just them talking in the Siomai place.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of the Before Sunset, Before
Yes.
Sunrise movies, right?
Yeah.
When all the scenes were just primarily both of them talking.
Talking, yes.
So similar to that, but
Similar.
just naglingkod na gid sila sa Siomayan for 28 minutes.
Oh, then in the end, nagbuwag na po sila.
Okay.
Murag ni uli na sila.
Okay. Wow, interesting.
Um,
So where can you watch that film if ever I want to watch that?
I'll send you a link.
Okay, but to the public, how can they see that?
I think it's in YouTube.
Okay.
I think it's in
It's very
YouTube.
interesting plot, right?
Yeah. And most people, when they say they've seen the film, the first thing they'll say is mag-crave silang siomai.
Yeah.
And the pancit canton at the halo-halo.
So, fast forward to 2010. Congratulations, by the way, for winning the GAWAD URIAN Awards for Best Feature Film, right? For that movie, Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria Kirschbaum. Kirschbaum, okay, sorry. So, this is another one-shot
Yes.
film, right? Meaning to say, nga you shoot the film in its entirety from start to finish, right? Walay cuts, walay ifs and buts, one whole long take. Unsa man ginang one-shot film? Maybe you can explain it to them technically what it means.
Yes, they're called with many names. There's one long take films, there's one shot films, uh, but it's technically shooting a film non-stop from start to end. In my case, I shot my first feature-length film. They call it the debut film for a filmmaker. 90 minutes of action non-stop. You know, when I say at the start of the filming, I say action. I don't say cut until it reached 90 minutes. So it was shot in, for those of you who've seen it, it's shot in Olango Island, and you know they're just walking along the beach until dito sa pier. By this time, this was considered to be a very groundbreaking film, technically, because it has never been done before in the Philippines to shot in that way. Some even say it's the first one long take film in Asia, but we don't have any way of confirming that if it's really true. But you know, some people are claiming that because prior to this, it's not technically possible to do it in film. You cannot reach 90 minutes straight recording.
Before the digital era, you mean?
Yes, before the digital cameras came in, and we're just very lucky that we were able to shoot this film at the right time. That this technology came in, and we were able to do it. For my short film, To Show My Love, we shot it in tape.
Tape pa to siya?
Yeah.
Okay.
We shot
That's why it was only 28 minutes.
Yes, it was only 28
So kaning
minutes.
Damgo ni Eleuteria, this is already how long?
90 minutes.
90 minutes, 1 hour and a half.
Yes.
Why did you choose this way of filming?
Yes. For most people to watch one long take films, well, for most people, if you don't mention it to them that it's one long take film, they won't even notice. That's one thing I like about one long take films, is it's like riding a roller coaster. Once you sit there, you're strapped, and the machine starts to run. It's like you're taken into a ride that you don't want to miss anything, because everything is happening right there in front of you. And for me also, I like it because it's a reflection of reality. The reality that we live every day, that we're living in.
You can't pause life.
You can't pause life. There's no cuts in real life. You can't go close up or wide or switch to next day. We have to endure every second of our life non-stop.
Whether we like it or
Whether
not.
you like it or not. And that's that's what I'm trying to capture in this film. A slice of Eleuteria's life, the 90 minutes of her life.
Yeah, tell us about that. We talked about what the process was for making Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria. But tell us about the story of Eleuteria. What is this movie all about?
Well, this movie, in a short capsule, this movie is about this girl from Olango Island who, they're very poor. They're living a very difficult life in the island, and ang iyang mama is hoping that they be able to send her daughter Eleuteria to marry a rich foreigner in Germany para maluag-luag po din taon nilang kinabuhi, no? But Eleuteria is confused. No? Wa siya kahibaw if she'll go or not. She's torn between a lover in the island or going on to Germany to meet this old guy who she haven't met before. So there are so many things that she needs to consider. So the whole journey is just us looking at her, feeling what she's feeling, and also we're torn with her kung we'll go to go or not to go.
To Germany or stay,
stay.
with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
So
Live
that's the
there.
story. That's her journey is the story. So you
Yes.
you shot it in one go, right?
Yes.
So 1 hour and a half seems like a lot of scenes, a lot of storytelling, right?
Mhm.
So you must have ran through it before you started shooting, right? Did you have like a little? Did you practice the whole thing before you turned on your camera? What's the process like of making one-shot films?
So the usual process that we have, because 90 minutes of shooting, I don't want my actors to be memorizing scripts.
Okay.
Because it's so difficult to memorize that whole.
Non-stop.
Yes. So I want them to understand their characters
Okay.
fully.
Okay.
Like, bahalag mapandol ka diha, you're still in character. Or gipangkot na ka sa iro, you're still in character.
Okay.
And you need to react to situations,
Okay.
not as you, but as the character.
Okay.
So,
Daghang kay mga ad-libs, mga
Yes.
spontaneous moments.
yes. So the first thing that I do is I sit down with them
Mhm.
in a room,
Okay.
one by one, talk to them about the character, explain to them why the character is this way. And I ask them not to judge the character they're playing. Because once you start judging your characters, like I'm the villain, or I'm the bida here, or I'm just the background, then you start to judge and then you start to feel flat. The character becomes flat. So, in real life, we don't see ourselves as the villain.
Mhm.
We always feel like we are the main character of our own story. Same with films. In every character you play, you justify your actions. You're doing this because this is the reason. So each character, I go through that process with the actor. Discuss thoroughly what this character wants to achieve and why he wants to achieve that. Once we have that, then we plot the situation. So we rehearse these scenes in a film in an empty room. We just sit down and I give them the situation. Now, say it. Talk about it.
So you give them like a script, no?
No,
Okay.
just situations.
Okay.
And they'll talk about the situation they're in front of me. Then I listen. So, for example, I give a scene like your husband is always sleeping, parang tapulan. How would you scold your husband para magtinarong siya para di na siya pinana? So, sige daw, let me hear it. How would you, if you're a wife, you want to scold a lazy husband, how would you do it? So I let her speak, and I let the husband react to it the way the character would react to it.
Without a script.
Without a script. I'll just listen and observe, and I'll point to them, what you said in this point is really good. The other one, we can cut it out because it's too long. Or this one is quite offensive. Or this one you did is di lang ta mag physical manapat, no, ato lang nang kuan. So I listen and observe, and I just take out the best parts of it and say, that's it, that's what you do, can you do it again? So they repeat the same thing na with the edits na. It's like live video when you are
Wait a minute. So you shoot a film for 1 hour and a half, and then you review it.
Yes.
So, for example, there are parts nga di ka ganahan. So kani I think this and that. So you don't shoot just that scene. You start from scratch
Yes.
again, right?
Yes.
And hopefully the inputs that you gave them will be applied in that scene in the
Yes.
next shot. So it doesn't look like it took an hour and a half to make that film, right?
No.
How long did you take to make the actual film before you went to the studios to edit it, of course?
So after the rehearsals, like in the city, we rehearse in the city. We book like a conference room and rehearse the whole thing. So we go to the island in Olango. We did camping there. Nag-tent me, ang uban nasa resort, ang di masud nag-tent and tanan. And we rehearsed again the whole thing sa location na, sa actual location. And same thing, no? I-shoot na mo in the morning when the sun is rising para nindot ang adlaw. But we wake up at around 3 a.m., put makeup, costumes, breakfast, all the preparation, props. By the sun rises at around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, we roll. We start shooting. We end at around 7 or 8.
A.M.
Yes.
So you shoot at around 6 a.m.?
6 or 7. Some basta hayag lang. No, the sunrise is really good. I'm after the the golden
Natural
glow.
light, no?
Yes, the golden glow. And after that we take a break and then we eat, and once the film is ready, what we shot in the first thing in the morning, we project it. Everybody watches. I have my comments. So I say this, the blocking, nagsalipdan nimo siya, imong gisulti taas ra kayo, or this joke is not working for me. Can we tweak it a little bit, or just remove it, or daghan comments. And then we redo it in the afternoon, just before the sun sets.
Okay. Hopefully with the afternoon sun enough, yeah.
Yes. So we've had like bad days, like in the middle of the thing it rained.
Okay.
And we stop.
Okay.
Or something happens in the middle of the take, someone forgets their spot or their lines, and it's totally unforgivable. There are some mistakes that I can like, okay na, let's go. But sometimes they're just so mistakes nga dako na jud kayo na okay, it's not going in the direction that we're heading, so we have to stop and do it again tomorrow. So nana lang. We did it for 6 days.
Wow. So after you finished your film, meaning to say nga satisfied na ka sa the whole execution of the film, of course you have to bring it to the studios, right? What kind of editing? I mean, like I'm sure, of course you're not gonna edit anymore in terms of removing parts, right? Because it is a one-shot film. Technically, it's one shot, right? So unsa may what's the process like in the editing room now? Wala na may editing. Dito na, like whatever it was, shoot na dito. Unsa man?
We color graded it.
Okay.
Some parts were like against the light, so we left the colors para mo.
So minor na lang kayo?
Color adjustments. And in the audio, sometimes naisaba, then we have to like clean it up.
Okay.
Kung kusog ang hangin, marag na sila gitweak sa mga audio, and then we put subtitles. What's funny was when the studio first saw it, na-shock sila, like they were not expecting a film like that. And there's so much confusion, like unsa man ani atong nagitanaw, no, murag
di sila kasabot.
Sila kasabot, mura sila na disorient.
Actually, to be honest with you, that was my feeling when I first saw it. Now that you mentioned it, nobody told me about this being a one-shot film. I would have had a new appreciation of the film had I known the way it was shot. So murag nagtanaw ko niya, murag ano man siyang galako-lako, gatuk-tuyo ka man sila sa island, di ba? Murag, ang feeling nako, murag, it was loopy.
Yeah.
But then, now that you mention it, I'm gonna watch it again, and this time, from that perspective, this is actually a one-shot film. Now, that is quite avant-garde of you to do something like this, right? Because there are no actors that are trained to do one-shot films. I'm sure you mentioned earlier before we turned on the cameras that, of course, stage plays are in essence one-shot films, right? But kanong stage plays, they've done that multiple times and rehearsed it multiple times and all of that stuff, right? So wala jud kay technically wa kay actors that are made to do one-shot films, right? When you cast this movie, ang Damgo ni Eleuteria, unsa man, like what did you look for in your actors?
Their soul.
Their soul. What do you mean?
I'm looking for people who, the cast of the film is a mix of first-time actors, veteran actors, radio actors, and normal people, no experience at all.
So non-actors?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't that a recipe for disaster?
It's supposed to be a recipe for disaster,
Okay.
but we were very blessed with the people that we have.
Okay.
I'm really very keen on talking to people first, like heart-to-heart talk, just to get a sense of who they are as a people.
This is like the audition.
Yes, the audition. Um, for example, Tatay Greg, who played in the Tatay, this film, was a veteran actor. Panahon pa na sa mga Sigot the Wonderful, mga, these films, the TV series that we see on film ng mga Bisaya. So, his jokes is kanang labaw pa sa Tito jokes, mas kuan pa gyud, mas karaan pa.
Okay.
No, kanang mga jokes sa Tiban Ugulyat, no, mga inana nga level of jokes na
So this
pangkuan gyud.
you got during your heart-to-heart talk pa?
Yes, kanang ang tana ko niya like na sa iyang mga prior experience mo ni mo na. So ganahan ko niya like
okay.
kuan siya, happy siya nga tao. And then it seems like sakto siya sa character.
So his Tito jokes during the audition ni gawas sa iyang
Yes.
acting
Of
when
course, yeah.
when you finally shot the film.
Tinuod. So there was a thing that happened in the film. When we shot the film in Cebu, we have in Manila we have an actress that we were in talks with now, who's supposed to play the mother role. But during the time, naibagyo sa Manila and she couldn't fly to Cebu to shoot the film. So, namproblema mi, no? We were in the island na. We were waiting for the actress to come. And we were rehearsing the thing in this particular scene we were rehearsing in the cemetery. And of course, no, sa normal man na sa ato kung nay mag-shooting daghan gyud nag-osyosero, daghan mo tan-aw, mga curious mga locals. One of this woman, one old woman, ana siya sa one of the crew members, ana siya na, "Are you looking for extras?" Nangita mo extra kanang kuan chismosa or kanang nagtungit sa likod, ana ba? Kanang you were just ngaplay na murag pangkuan lang gud, pang kulapo lang or ana ba? So after the kuan ni hapon nami, nituol ako ang crew because namoblema lagi mi kay wala ang actress na siya. Nabiya tigulang babae ni duol ako ganina na nangita ba daw ta kanang majungera or kanang kuan kanang chismosa sa likod ana. Ko asa daw pakita daw ko mo to gida siya. Nagstorya mi sa minteryo. Amo siyang istorya gud ko pilay mong anak. Mao na siya daghan kay siya ganak no. Daghan sa siya mga daga na mga uban wala ka human nag-eskwela na. Inko manang, how would you feel kung naay foreigner maka-interest sa imong anak? And siya, kana mo na kung gikuan man kung gi pangandoy na one of iyang mga daga daw maminyo foreigner ano okay. Nakita man gud siya sa ilang mga silingan no na ni-improve gyud ang life na ni mga tindahan, nakapatukod nag mga apartment, kanang kapalit og mga pambot. This very simple kanang no filter ba nga character. Anay nakaingko sa akong kagaling, she is the woman I'm looking for. Siya na ba ni? No? I said to her, "Can you come tomorrow?" Buntag sayo. Suwaya na to. And she fit the character. Siya na gyud. No experience at all. And what's funny was, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in Urian.
Really?
Against like really veteran actors in Manila. And also si Greg, the tatay, was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And suya kay mga taga Manila because mga artista sa Manila modul na ko, Direk, alam mo ba, I've been acting my whole life. I've never got a nomination from Urian, and here comes your actor, no experience at all. First time Dritso nomination, and I say, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
It's just that they are so great with what they're doing, believable, tinuod, ano ba?
Maybe because they weren't acting, maybe that was really them, right? Because
Yes.
you were able to screen them before that, and then when they finally, were in front of the camera, they just were themselves, right?
Tinuod.
So I
We were
guess
so lucky. We were so lucky.
a lot of that has got to do with the director, with the way an actor acts, right? But also one of the things that people forget to talk about, but I'd like to talk about here today is the fact that it was also a beautifully written a script, right?
Yes.
The writer is Miss Beltran, right?
Yes. She's
Bambi.
Bambi Beltran is
Okay.
a known writer,
Uh-huh.
an artist in Cebu.
Okay.
She's written this story for. She made this script, Dugay na, and then she's been dreaming of turning it into a film. But they've submitted it multiple times to different producers, and then no luck. Until what happened was when the short film I had, To Show My Love, it gained a lot of attention in Manila. When they saw it, Murag, they went crazy. And like, who is this guy? Where did he came from? Like out of nowhere in Cebu, something came up with this, and it won a lot of awards in Manila. And after that, I got offers like to make a feature-length film. One of this, was Cinema One. Like they have this competition. They asked me to join. So when of course, when you get offers like that, it's quite rare, and you say yes, yes, I'll join. But at that time, I don't have a script for a long feature-length film. And Tita Bambi said, I have a script that's been sitting here. Wala gini siya nahimog film. Let's submit this, no? Basin di ay. But during the selection process, they asked me how will I translate the film, because you go there to parang it's like a thesis defense. You have a presentation and you lay it to them. What's your plan for the film? How are you gonna execute? So one of the things they asked me is, how will you execute this film? Because the original script was quite long. No, we'll see her go to Germany pa, and then she got abused there by the husband, and then she comes back to the Philippines, and so it's a very long story, and they were very curious how to execute that with a very tight budget and this and that. So eventually it boiled down to finding the core and the heart of the script, of the material. Miss Bambi has experienced this firsthand because she has lived on Olango. She has a property there. She's met a lot of women in same situations. She used to have a German partner, and she also had a time that she lived in Germany.
So this is kind of autobiographical in a way.
Some sort of, although she's not a mail order bride, strictly speaking, but she's met a lot of them in Germany.
Okay.
And she has a restaurant there in Lahug.
Yeah, we love Kukuk's.
Yeah, so a lot of women, a lot of foreigners go there with their girlfriends.
Yeah.
And she gets to talk to them, share experiences and blah blah blah. So this is like a collective stories of women who has experienced this sort of relationship or arrangement, whatever you call it. So parang she collected them all and put it in one character, si Eleuteria and her family.
Okay.
So I was really grilled during the process, and it really tested me personally also, because they were questioning, how would you relate to this? You are a filmmaker who gonna tell a story about this girl in the island, about this arrangement. How will you relate to this? Because when I made this, I was around 26, 27 years old. And I'm a city boy. I grew up in the city. And how will I relate to this? It's a very female biased character. Living in an island, having this arrangement.
How could you have that kind of experience?
Yes.
Personally, right?
How could I tell that story? Now it's so alien
So
to
how
me.
did you defend that?
I say I'll try my best. I mean, honestly, when I first read the story, I cannot relate to it.
Yeah.
It's so distant. Raglayo kaysa sa akong background sad. So I have to double my efforts, like really talk to real people. So diha pa na ako na-discover na po dahil may mga parente na naminyo po
Okay.
foreigners. So niatok sila. No? Nangutan na dyan ko like, how did you meet? Unsay feeling? Ano yun? And then daghan pa ko gi-meet na mga tao nga inanag situation. Niadto ko sa Ulanggo, ni-immerse ko dito, tanaw silang festival, murag nag-effort ko ba na to really understand the milieu of this film, the locality, the pagkaon, the culture of the people. And then, sige na mo revise sa script, nag-question agad ko ba na, asa man jud ang core ani nga film. It boiled down to the crossroads nga Eleuteria is about to cross. So the Eleuteria was in a crossroad kung magpabilin ba siya dinhi, nga maura yung kinabuhi, and kanang para sa iyang mama walay ayo nga kung ano buntiso na kasi mong uyab na managhan imong anak, then mana na imong life, you'll be trapped in that situation forever, or you go now, escape now, and have a better chance of improving your life. Dito na ko siya na ukaban ba, this an eye-opening moment niya. Yes, I am also in the crossroad sa akong kinabuhi. So diha mi nag-abot sa character. At that time, I wasn't really sure if I'm gonna pursue filmmaking like I do now. I do films at the time, short films and feature-length films, but they weren't really supporting me full-time. I have other jobs to supplement myself. So I was kind of thinking of quitting. So I wasn't really sure if I'd go this way or that way. So muramig nag-align ni Eleuteria. Yes.
With the character of Eleuteria. And
Yes.
ikaw, you're also on the crossroads of your filmmaking career.
Yes.
And she was made to choose whether to stay in Olango Island or go to Germany
Yes.
with his future husband.
Yeah.
Her future husband, I mean.
So that's the point that it clicked to me, that it doesn't have, I don't have to relate to her literally, but I can relate to her emotionally, in another state of understanding. So then it became easy after that. Everything became clearer, because it became universal feeling of a person in a crossroad. And one thing also that I really liked about executing it in one long take is the progression of emotion of the characters. You don't get to see it naturally happening in other films. For example, when you shoot a film now, nag-away mo sa imong bana, cut kay gabi na, we'll shoot another
Okay na po,
film.
tugma.
So that scene nga intense kayo will be shot again like a week after. And then there's a disconnect. Parang daghang mga moments sa film inana na di nimo siya makita ang progression, like from calm to this high emotion to down. Mawa lang na siya, maputol diha, and then wala na, you'll never get to see it. But in this film, you see the emotions naturally, ang ebb and flow of human emotions is there. It's raw.
Out of all the elements that you mentioned, what do you think resonated with the GAWAD URIAN Awards Committee? Why do you think they gave you the Best Picture Film Feature for ang Damgo ni Eleuteria? What do you think resonated with them?
Okay. Aside from the Best Picture, it also won Best Cinematography and Best Directing.
Okay.
And but I'm not sure with the other awards, but it got the major awards. One of they have a citation. They made a citation, a reason why they chose that film. It was, they say, it's the bravery of executing it that way. Because no one has ever done it. And also, because of the story of Eleuteria, they call the diaspora movement of people. No, they liken it to the people, to the birds in Ulango.
Exodus,
The
mag-migrate.
Exodus,
Oh.
yes, the same people, no, na kita muratag pariyana, no, and for me it's very touching because they've seen the efforts of the regional filmmaking. This is the first film, they said, that won the best picture in GAWAD URIAN that is not made in Manila. So in a way, it's a big statement also that the regional cinema is emerging. The cinema outside of the capital is emerging. And this is one of the films that paved the way for the next regional films to,
So after
Carlos
you
Pilot
won
and-
the GAWAD URIAN for Best Film Feature, Best Director, and the other awards
Yeah.
that you won back in 2010 for the Damgo ni Eleuteria, what happened after that? Of course, this is a big moment for Filipino Cebuano filmmakers, right? Nga finally, after all this time, there's a regional winner. So what happened after that? Did you make more films? Were there other films that are one-shot films as well from the Visayas, from the area? What happened after that moment?
So, in a wider scope of things, there's a movement in Philippine cinema. It's called the regional cinema movement. It's happening all over the Philippines. So, just like they are defining now the Philippine national language not as a Tagalog language, exclusively Tagalog language, but a mixture of different languages in the archipelago. Same with cinema. They are redefining Philippine cinema not as the Tagalog cinema, but the cinema composed of films from different places in the Philippines. So it becomes this a mixture, of different stories from different parts of the country. So when you say Philippine cinema, dili na siya usara ka flavor. It becomes a flavor of different stories from different places. I remember there was an outrage. I remember I forgot the year, but there was a curation of Philippine cinema exhibition, and then it was held in MoMA in US, and it was all Tagalog cinema, and there was like an outrage. That is not Philippine cinema. That is
Just Manila, right?
yes.
Uh-huh.
So it became a movement, and we were so happy and we were so proud to become part of the movement. So every year there's a gathering of all these filmmakers from all over the Philippines, and they exhibit their works from different parts of the country. And even before Damgo ni Eleuteria, Cebu has been gaining momentum. We've been producing a lot of short films, and then Damgo ni Eleuteria came. Then we started making a lot of feature-length films. Not just me, but there were a lot of filmmakers also who were my contemporaries who were making really, really beautiful films from Cebu, from Mindanao, from Iloilo, from North Luzon, from different parts of the country. So, mao na siyang hitabo, no? After Eleuteria, the regional cinema became alive. It produced a lot of films. And it's still going on now, no? Mauna nga nahitabo na we have in San Carlos now the cinema studies. It's a 4-year course for people who want to become filmmakers. Another film school opened in Cebu, FMA, the Film and Media Arts, which sadly due to pandemic closed down. But these movements, the movement that we started, have really rippled the effects. A lot of younger people now are interested in filmmaking, and not just interested in making films, but making films in our language and telling our own stories here That's what I'm really proud of. Kay sa una man good, you can really just count with your fingers people in Cebu who are making films. But now there are younger generation. We don't even know. Like out of nowhere, like in Bantayan Island, there are some group of people there, young people who are making films. In other parts of Cebu, masyak na lang ka. Oh, they win awards there. We don't even know them. They just sprout out of nowhere. So we are parang sowing these seeds, no, for future filmmakers in Cebu, and we are very happy because filmmaking now, as a the technology side of it is very accessible. It has become very accessible. When you want to learn something, it's just one Google away, one YouTube away. It's there. It's open for everyone. And how I wish it was that accessible during our time. Although the internet was just starting during our time, but not as abundant as now, and not as cheap as now. Now it's very you can even shoot a film in your phone.
Yeah, because of technology, I think technology now is the great equalizer, right? It's so digital technology. I mean, it's the great equalizer. It's so easy to shoot a film now. Direk, I'm curious. Is because I think any industry, it becomes successful or not, it's because of many things, right? The infrastructure, the technology, the equipment, the budget, and the culture, right? I am curious because I remember this has nothing to do with film, but I remember I had a conversation with Don Ontiveros, and he was telling me, "Bay, kung practice, if I was trained in Russia as a basketball player, I would be infinitely superior as a basketball player." And it wasn't about technology, although there was technology, but it was really about the knowledge ba. Nga kaning they really have a superb and advanced knowledge on how to train people. My question is, do we really have the culture here in Cebu to raise good filmmakers compared to, let's just say, Manila? Let's not compare ourselves to the world yet. Let's just say, ang atong culture in Cebu, is it enough? Obviously, it turned out you. That's a good sign that naay ni gawas nga maayo nga filmmaker. But do we have the culture to compete with the players in Manila when it comes to filmmaking?
One of the things that happened in our time, there was a sense of healthy competition between us filmmakers. So I think if you continue to cultivate that, we have a very good chance because Cebuanos naturally are gifted people, sa walay char-char nga pagkastorya, we are gifted. Like, we have really good musicians here. We have really good artists here, and filmmakers. Mayunta sa Pilipinas, Cebu has produced really good filmmakers. And when I say good filmmakers, they are people with unique voice. In filmmaking, that's what you look for. A unique voice. A voice like no other. No? Pareha sa singer ba nga, nagyo kay tingog ngay mo sa film.
It's a Tarantino film.
Yes.
Without knowing.
Yes. If it's a Spielberg film, it's a Spielberg film because he has that unique voice. I'm proud to say that the Cebuano filmmakers have that voice. It's very loud and it's very clear. When you watch a Cebuano film, you would really know that it's made by this certain person. Kaya dili siya kopya bitaw of something else. Na siya uniqueness. Even us, we were contemporaries, let's say. Victor Villanueva, also a Cebuano filmmaker, is very unique in his films that is filled with humor. Comedy ginaiya na very raunchy, very down-to-earth comedy. Keith Deliguero is a Cebuano filmmaker who's also very known for his very avant-garde work. Very kuan ginaiya kanang experimental, nasa humor, but very experimental, very different. we have Christian Linaban, who is also ang iyang trabaho is very psychedelic, very music driven, very out of this world, but it's very unique. Aura Chaudhry na very feminist, very strong women ang iyang giportray in films, no? And so much more in the younger generation. Kaingon ka, lahi jud, walay kopya ba? So, that in itself is a very good indication that we have a good training ground for filmmakers. We, for example, us, we call ourselves the sort of the pioneers of the new breed of Cebuano filmmakers, because the golden, they call it, we have a two golden era in Cebuano Visayan filmmaking. The first one was during the 1920s to 1940s to 1970s. During that time, katong mga sa una mga black and white film pa gyud, sadly they died. So mura ni siya ang among generation.
Resurgence na siya of film.
Yes,
in Cebu.
It's the rebirth. Kumbaga.
Rebirth, uh-huh.
It's the new breed of filmmakers. So nahog nga murag na timingan lang sad na kami ang nataw panahon sa digital cinema age. So naturally murag kami ang nahog nga murag kuya-kuya sa mga
so we have the
filmmakers.
culture, but we have the culture and the
Yes.
know-how and the experience to breed filmmakers, because I think that's crucial, right? Your environment, your
Yes.
peers, your teachers in school, perhaps,
Yes.
and what you see. I'm curious, Direk. We're all very exposed to a lot of Western
Yes.
films. For as far as I can remember, we were colonized by the Americans and the Spaniards. So we're exposed by a lot of Western films. How does a filmmaker tap into something original, something local, and not get too Western or too influenced by outside forces? Of course, we are a combination of everything that we digest, everything that we
Yes.
consume, right? There's no escaping that. But how do you find that original voice with all of this exposure to different films? How does that happen? I think this is a question not just for filmmakers, but in search of originality. Like, how do you do that?
Okay. One thing I think, for me, speaking for my experience, was the uniqueness of my experience living here in Cebu and the culture I'm exposed every day. For me, I grew up in the 80s. Wala, dugay kami nagka-TV. So, ang akong exposure was really radio. The radio drama that I'm hearing every day. So, muna akong nahog nga training ground, because I listen to these radio dramas, I close my eyes and I visualize it. I put faces into these voices. When they say na sila sa palasyo na kuan, mao ni nindot kayo paraiso, I put visuals into it. And that's, I think, contributed to my style, my filmmaking na it's very visual, because of that childhood training I had. No? Hapon, pakatulgon may pugsong katog, maminaw drama. Mao na, I visualize it, I dream it. So, they have a saying in film is, the more personal your story, the more universal it is. So, what I'm seeing for most filmmakers with really unique voice is to go deep inside them and really look into themselves, what they find interesting, what stories they want to tell. A lot of young filmmakers, the tendency is to copy. If they say a certain film like this, I want to make a film like this. I want to be this glossy, I want to be this flashy, I want to be put this. Buy this gears, buy this thing. But one thing they have failed to develop first is to be in touch with their inner self, I think, and knowing what kind of stories you want to tell. And it's like giving a portion of yourself into that work. Okay, I had a student in Malaysia, and then he was making fantasy action films. He was trying to make those kind of films. And when I asked him, why do you want to make that? His immediate answer was, this is the kind of film that make money. This is the kind of films that are popular. Masikat ani, no? Kuan ani. There's nothing wrong with that because after all, cinema is a business. We need to make money to make more films. But there's okay. After that class, after that interaction, we met like 3 years after. This time it's in Korea. And he approached me. He said, I finally have the money. I have the financial backing, a big studio, to make his first film. And he said to me, the most comment that he gets from people about his work is, it is insincere. It is they're looking for his voice, the honesty. How do I achieve that? He asked me, how do I achieve that? At this point, at that point I really don't know myself also. So naglingkod lang mi diha.
You were two lost souls.
We were like talking for hanto na buntagan mi, trying to point asa man unsa gyud na ang heart, unsa gyud ang sincerity sa imong work. And it boils down to your motivation in making such films. For example, if you put this shot here, nga car chase scene, what is your intention behind that? Ganahan lang ka na mubongga imong film na maunang na yung mga buto-buto diha, but ni push ba siya sa imong story forward? Did it contributed to the story? Mao na ang kuan, because a lot of filmmakers, ang tendency is to put a lot of sugar into the work.
A lot of sparks, right?
Yes, a lot of it. And then the real meat na tabunan na sa ilam, which mao nang a lot of people, they go to cinema and they go home, they have this adrenaline while watching the film, but when they go home, there's nothing there. Mura na siya, nihupas na, humana ba? Kung sa kuan pa, you were eating junk food. It's tasty, it feels lami, no? Tagumkum, but the nutritional value there is
yeah.
So there are also, on the other hand, there are also films that stays with you for months and years.
And change you, like the Cinema Paradiso did to you, right?
So there's if you could strike the balance of a film that is meaty and also entertaining, then you got the perfect
combination.
Yes. Yeah. And everyone's hoping to get that, hoping to achieve that. What a lot of people manggod ang mahitabo is ganahan nila ma-achieve tanang gloss, tanang decoration, forgetting that there's also another half of the film, which is the really good story.
The industry, the film industry is an industry because it's been around for such a long time, and an industry which has been around for such a long time will develop mga, how do you call this, formulas, right? So
yes.
There are probably like thousands of films that have ever been made in the history of film. So nana kay formula, kibaw na ka, pabuthon tani para mo daghang tao, or we atong ipakulata si FPJ una pagkuman manimaw siya in the end, right? So we have a formula to make a successful movie, to make money, because I think a lot of film making is also about budget, right?
True.
Importante sana kayo ang budget. You can't make a film for free, right? In fact, that film that you made, Eleuteria, mga Damgo ni Eleuteria, is actually it costs a lot of money to make. So how can you achieve that? Like, ikaw, for example, personally, how do you strike that balance? Have you applied that? What you like to make and what makes money, and put something in the middle and make a film out of it.
Yes, that's a really it's a $1 million question. A lot of people are also trying to learn that,
Yeah.
trying to capture that. And a lot of directors also have become successful. When you say one great example is Steven Spielberg. When you watch his films, it's really high grossing, dako kita. But also there's heart in it. You see na kay ma-feel ba when you watch it, you feel something and you bring something home with you from that experience. Scorsese has that magic in him. Actually, it's a lot of people consider it a gift. No, some people are really just grounded with so much experience, human experience, that they know how to pull your heart and how to entertain you and how to draw an audience. It goes with years of experience in the industry also, and also very importantly years of experience in real life, being a human being.
So, your one-shot film style won a GAWAD URIAN award. So is this going to be inextricably attached to you now as a director? Will you be just making solely one-shot films? Is this sort of like
Signature.
the signature that you have been? This is the voice that you have been looking for. Would you say that?
I'd say I'm happiest when I'm making one long take films.
Okay.
Because, as I've said, I love the progression of emotion. I'm comfortable with it. I've done it many times, and I'm quite confident when I'm doing it, because a lot of film execution comes with practice, a lot of experience. And I can say na daghan kog experience on one long take films. Mao man gud na ang advice sa the people older than me who've made lots of films, because for filmmakers, the debut film, meaning the very first film that you churn out as a professional director, is very crucial for your future career. It's a make or break moment. And they said, Remton, when you make because when we initially started producing Eleuteria, it wasn't originally intended as a one long take film. As I've said, it's a very long script.
From Beltran, right?
Yeah. And the advisors that I've got, they said, Remton, this is your feature-length film. This is a make or break moment for you. It's like your debut, your introduction to the world. You will be remembered for this film. So if this film sucks, you will be remembered as a failure director. So you have to choose a filmmaking style that you are comfortable executing. So based on my track record, I've made a lot of one long take films, short films. And they said, I think find a way that you can execute Damgo and Eleuteria in a one long take structure. So we've rewritten the whole story. I choose the very important moment in that story, kang paglakaw ni Eleuteria, and just focused on that.
What will it take to have more Direk Remtons winning more awards in Manila?
More films, I think. After Damgo and Eleuteria, I've made 2 more films. One, siguro, what I can say is, when we first started making Cebuano films, Manggod, it was just out of fun. When we started making with my circle of friends, ang mga standby sa tisa, Inome, na ako'y mga films from the school, tanaw na ko nila, mga weird ka na mga salida, mga, these people grew up watching Star Cinema or mga unsa pa na teleserye. And I bring art films.
So weird kaya pala nila.
Then I let them watch, and surprisingly they enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then they have so many questions.
Okay.
And mura maghimo tani. So mura la siya binugoy. But then ang ako yung nasa una-una is, at first amo-amo ra ba, kalingaw lang, no? I did, at the back of my mind, Manggod, is wala pa good ko experience ang ako ba na how will Manila people understand this film. This is in Cebuano, the jokes is very Bisaya, the humor, the sa setting tanan, how will the Manila people react to this? How will they accept this? How will they relate to this? But when we premiered in Manila, it was so surprising. Like, the cinema is full.
You talking about Eleuteria?
Yes, people are reacting to it. Mukatawa sila on the right moment, mohilom sila on very silent moment, and they really felt touched by the film. So, ingon sila, Rem, the film was widely positive response sa Manila audience. Now this time, it got invited to a lot of film festivals outside of the Philippines. Mao na sa dakong dilemma, how will, for example, the Koreans, it first international premiere in Korea, how will the Koreans react to a very Bisaya film? Pagsabot ka sila ani. We flew to Korea, we showed the film, full cinema, same reaction, even wilder than the Manila crowd, like, katawa dito, like,
This is to a crowd of Koreans.
Koreans, yes. Katawa sila sa Alpine Milk na joke ni Tata, like, I was really thinking, na ba Alpine Milk dito sa Korea, no? Like, as in, kanang,
So universal siya.
Yes, after the filming, there's a Q&A and a lot of questions. We brought it to Russia. So it won awards in Korea. In Russia, invited it. It won another award in Russia. Same thing. No, people were really curious, really interested, and kasabot yun sila ba? And it goes to show that films are really universal. The human emotions are universal.
So it's not going to take too long for the next Direk Remton to get another bunch of awards, not just in the Philippines, but in Korea or perhaps Russia.
Yeah, our films,
But in
we
terms
were
of,
very lucky.
in terms of local support, by like, do we get? I mean, you played Eleuteria to a full house in Manila, in Korea, in Russia. How are your films accepted here in your hometown?
Okay, it's very curious. It's very curious because it premiered in Manila. It hasn't been shown in Cebu, during the premiere, and it went to other places in other parts of the world before it came back to Cebu. By then, it already had a buzz. It already won. So naturally, people are drawn to it. No? So we showed it in SM and to a full house, of course. People were there. The mayors were there. The press were, media were there. So it's very makaingon ka na makalanay ang reaction sa mga tao because ang mga Bisaya man good, we have a very specific kind of humor nga ato aragid ba na medyo dry, nga medyo sarcastic, medyo kuan. As in murag riot gid ang sulod sa sinihan tungod kay mga jokes ni tatay kanang mga they were really reacting to it nga no other audiences reacted. So para nako murag it's relatable to us. I have like one film expert in Manila say, why don't Cinema One release it wildly in Visayas and Mindanao? Because mura man good siya, the way he sees it, bakay mura siya dibalik ang kanang mga Sigot the Wonderful o katong mga karaan kay nga mga salida sa Bisaya bitaw nga bugal-bugal jud kayo nga ang mga tao mo jud ang ganahan ba humor. We want humor man good sa atong entertainment. Mao sad na ako nabantayan with the films across the Philippines, kumingon kag mga independent films in Manila, ako nabantayan mostly seryoso gud kayo like poverty, political issues.
But the topic that you made, Eleuteria, is actually a very serious topic, right?
It's a very serious topic, but it's hidden in humor.
Humor.
It's
So,
hidden in humor.
The local people, the Cebuanos, will rallied behind you with the launching of that film back in 2010 after it won awards all over the world, right? In Manila, Korea, and also in Russia. So what you're saying is, kung nakay film, your locals, your friends, the local
Yeah.
people will support that film. So do you need to go around the world and come back here to become widely accepted in your hometown, or why don't you just make a film and show it here first and see what happens?
That's what I want to do next.
Okay.
Inani man good, although we love our own mga Cebuanos, Bisaya, but we also have another trait in us, embedded in us. There's this inferiority complex within us that when you say it's Bisaya made, Bisaya Bisaya kayo.
That's even a derogatory word,
Yes.
right? So the way you say it, Bisaya, right?
Oh.
Murag derogatory na in a way, right?
Yes, that's embedded in us. Siguro by colonialism, or we always
Imperialism.
Yes, we always felt like we are
Inferior
inferior
to Manila, right?
Manila. And when the first time that mga tao magod when they hear a film made in Bisaya, ang ilang expectation is murag katong panahon nilang Gulyat ug Lanteban na slapstick comedy, joke nga mga tito jokes ng inana ba. Mao na ilang expectation, and then inigtanaw nila mo sila masyak nga lalahi. It's not what they're expecting to see. So I think the film audience here needs film education, film appreciation, and I think it takes time. That's why we have built infrastructures, because film actually you're building film infrastructure and you're building your film audience. Mao na yung ginabuhat sa ubang countries na they're trying to replicate here. So we actually have an organization called the Binisaya Movement. We have a yearly Binisaya Film Festival that gathers all the films made in Cebu, even outside Cebu. Basta Binisaya lang ang language of film. And then we have a film festival. We gather them, we have a competition, and we try to encourage young filmmakers to make films because we have a venue to show them. And it's in its 11th year now. So every year, submissions are getting bigger and bigger. And we also have opened our international section. Mga films from other countries na mga needs an audience to see, no? Mao na sa na gi-open na mo. And what we're trying to do here is to show it to as much people as possible, just to make them, expose them to these kinds of films, to make them aware that, exist din eh. We have a film scene here, an emerging film scene, a film community in Cebu, in Visayas, in Mindanao. And we are going school to school, showing this to young people, because you start film literacy and school at a very young age. Para inigdako nila din sila masyak nga naa din this exists. And looking back in my education also, when we were in college, our teacher, Mr. Paredes, would really enforce us to, like, when there's here in Ayala, there's always the European, the Cine Europa.
Free, right?
It's free. It's a Japanese film festival, Korean film festival. Sa una, magbagot-but yun may na patuon, patan-an, pahimog reaction paper. Mao yun na marag bugat kay buot. But now, I'm very thankful for that experience nga. Kung wala pa magi-push, kung tanaw ani nga mga kind of films, because these films that they're showing here, especially here in Ayala, mga film festivals, these are the best from each countries. Then may ilang ipasalida din And
free, pag yun.
And free. And that really helped me in my film education. Nakita ko ba nga, unsa kanindot ang salida nga gitarong ug himo stories that are well. So no matter what language, tanaw ra Cine Europa, French, Italian, unsa pa na diha nga mga language, wa may problema, masabtan man nato.
Okay. One of the greatest things to come out of film these past couple of years is Korean film, right?
Yes.
Korean film has just exploded. I think it's not just the Korean films, but the entertainment industry. I know we don't have much time because I think you have a 6 p.m. engagement, right? So, Remton, I'm just going to whittle it down to my last two questions. What will it take for the Philippines to have as much impact as the Koreans have in terms of our films?
I'm very lucky to have been invited to Korea to show my films in different times. No, when Damgo Eleuteria premiered in Jeonju in Korea, the Jeonju Film Festival, I really saw firsthand how vibrant their film industry is. You know, you have red carpets full of people, Korean actors coming in, Hollywood people being invited, and mura kag ma-shock pa no, grabe hay kanang this kanang industry is really kanang buhi ba, no? And it really amazed me how the infrastructure behind it was built, because the government support for their film industry dako jud kayo ang tabang sa ilang gobyerno.
Give me a concrete example of dako. What do you mean?
Okay. For example, Filipino filmmakers now for several years have been sent to Korea to train because they have this program. We have the Asian Film Academy, for example. You apply for that and you go to Korea to study film. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the educational program for filmmakers that they've opened to outsiders. No, they bring in people to study films with their students also. But there are also other programs that are exclusive for Koreans. So you will see how they have invested on film education for their filmmakers. Grabe ang training.
So scholarship ni siya, like they will
Scholarship.
send Koreans to the world, to maybe to the United States
Yeah.
or wherever, to learn film.
Yes.
And this is at the expense of the government.
Yes.
So do we have something similar to that now these days?
We
here in
have
the Philippines?
something in place.
Okay.
We've been very lucky that our government agencies, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts and the FDCP, the Film Development Council of the Philippines, are very aggressive in promoting, not just sending Filipinos to learn filmmaking in other countries. So we've sent a lot of scholars to Korea, to Berlin, to even US, ug sa lain-lain pang mga lugar, no, to learn filmmaking. They have residency programs. So murag kung sa kuan pa ba murag itag nauwahi sa karon pa
Late to the party.
Yes, but we are at least
It's never too late, yeah?
making
Hopefully.
progress.
Mhm.
No? There's also film markets that we're sending our film production companies. So you go there, the U.S. film market, you go there for the European film market. So it's there that you bring Filipino films and sell it to Europe.
Okay,
Before we don't have that.
okay.
You bring Filipino films, sell it to the U.S. And we also make film markets here in the Philippines. We invite film producers to come and exchange knowledge transfer. That's very important. And we are making leaps and bounds on that aspect. I think Korea man good. When I was there on the second time, we celebrated the 100 years of Philippine cinema, and
What year was this?
2018, I
Okay,
think.
fairly recently, right?
Yes. So I was invited to go there because it's a 100 year celebration of Philippine cinema. So they have, this is in Busan, in Korea, the Busan International Film Festival. It's the biggest film festival in Korea. So they have a program there for the celebration of the Philippine cinema centennial. So they've chosen 10 films out of all the films in that 100 years. So we were very lucky that our film was included on the 10
Wow, okay.
films.
Which one? The Eleuteria movie?
Eleuteria
Okay.
film was part of the centennial retrospective for the Philippine cinema. And during that dinner with the festival director there, the head of the Busan International Film Fest, he said, not a lot of people know this, but when they started to revive or to rise from the wars, the Koreans, after the war, they want to make a good film industry, and they went to Manila, to Philippines, to study our industry.
So the Koreans went to Manila to study our film industry.
Yes.
And the tables have turned.
Yes. Now we go there to study them.
So why is that? What happened between them coming to Manila to study and now what happened?
A lot of things happen in Korea. A lot of things happen in the Philippines, but most probably they figured out, a thing that we didn't know.
Yeah. They cracked the code, right?
True.
So it's not luck that the Koreans are dominating the entertainment industry now all over the world.
They've worked hard for it.
Yeah, but we have a lot of talented singers in the Philippines. We have a lot of talented filmmakers in the Philippines. What is your prediction, Direk? When do you think we'll reach some kind of international success akin to the Koreans in our film industry? Do you have any predictions based on what you know, what we are doing so far, and where it's headed?
Actually, when we look at us compared to the Hollywood or the Koreans, mura tag maluoy sa tong kagalingon, no? But when you see other countries in Southeast Asia, you go Indonesia, you go Sri Lanka, you go Cambodia, you go Malaysia, makaingon kasurtiha sa Pilipinas in terms of the entertainment industry, the film industry. We have grants. We have companies like Cinema One and other companies that give money to filmmakers to make films. We have very lax censorship, no? Almost non-existent. Gani, you get ratings lang, no? But very seldom you get cut on your films. In other countries, luoy kayo, censorship, you cannot show this, that. It's very strict. No funding, zero. Makaingon ka, in Southeast Asia, Philippines is one of the more advanced in terms of filmmaking. Of course, we're very westernized. We have this dako kay nga influence. And there's a trend going on worldwide, no? That people are turning their direction to Asia. A lot of Hollywood representations, a lot of,
There's a new Marvel movie now, which is mostly Asian, right?
Yes. So, I don't know if you noticed this trend started lately lang, no? Like, Crazy Rich Asians, and all the other films around that time. They're slowly taking notice of what we have here and what we have to offer entertainment. Of course, money is shifting to Asia. So
will they look at the Philippines too? Because Asia is such a big place, right?
Yes.
Do you think that trend also includes the Philippines? You feel that
I think so.
We're part of that scene?
I think so.
It's so Korean-centric these days, though.
Yeah, but the Philippines, as they always say, we have the uniqueness of our product. Lahi manggod ta. We have this. The Koreans, of course, are very unique. They have mastered this style, this look, this feel sa ilang mga salidam. Ngayon ka, Korean.
And even the storytelling is it's almost like a style of everyone, right?
Yes, and a lot of people are copying it now.
Yeah.
So, kung makaingon magud ka dinhi sa atong area region sa Asia, ang Pilipinas ang extrovert na kind of country because we love entertainment, we love showbiz, and I think that's our advantage, no. And I think ang Pinoy manggod doesn't stop. Ganahan magyud tag kuan. Mo go getter kumbaga. And I think it won't be long before Pinoys would get that chance, would get that
Ikaw,
opportunity.
Direk Remton, are you thinking of making your first global hit, nga one-shot film? Is that part of the plan?
In the
Grander scheme
of things, of course. it may look like a very steep climb, but I'm not thinking dili siya posible. It's possible. I mean,
You
I-
already approved, right?
Yeah.
When you showed your film in Korea, people responded beautifully. When you brought it to Russia, gabi sa kayang applause nila. So you can
Yeah.
you already have proof of success
Yes.
that your films can succeed in Korea and in Russia. So what's stopping you from
Yeah.
from
I've also my last film,
Yeah.
Swap, was also a one long take film.
okay.
That premiered in Spain and went to like a lot of countries, more than Eleuteria. It toured around the world, and it also showed a lot of success in that sense. And I think it's not impossible. Like the Philippines, right now, we have made a great progress in terms of filmmaking. We have won major awards from other filmmakers now. Sa Philippines, Manggod, right now, the independent cinema is really getting stronger. Now, we've won in Cannes Film Festival. We've won top awards there, acting awards, directorial awards. In Venice, in Berlin, all these major film festivals, Filipinos have excelled in them. And, independent cinema has always been sila mag-una, permi. A lot of things that we see in cinema now that we call cliche, that we
Started
call,
independent, yeah.
they started out as an innovation that was constantly being repeated until it became a cliche. Right now, what we have in the Philippines is the force of the independent cinema is so strong, and it's making unique films every day. No, every year there's a lot of new films that are uniquely made. Nga murag wa pa kita sa una, and that's a good indication that we are in the right direction. We are ahead in terms of innovation that would someday become a normal thing.
You mentioned we've won a lot of awards in Venice and Cannes and all of those award-giving bodies, right? But I think what we're looking for, because this is a very specific film awarding bodies, right? These are more for the artsy,
Yes.
artsy people, right? These are mga movie connoisseurs who love the arts and all of that stuff. But nothing like a global success. That
Yes.
Korean movie, I think that was a pivotal moment
Yeah.
in Korean film, right?
True.
Because it was a commercial success, but it was also beautifully made, right?
Yes, true.
Do we have the chops to make one of those one of these days?
We're getting there.
Oh, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
I'm hoping it'll be you who will do that.
I
A
ho-
one-shot film, right? Why not?
I also hope so. But it's hard work. It's hard
absolutely.
work.
Yeah, nothing
It's,
ever easy is.
and it takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
And a lot of things we do here at this moment, we consider ourselves to be at the frontier of things, especially here in Cebu. We have come to accept the fact that we are kami naghawan sa dan for the success of the future generation of
You
filmmakers.
paved the way.
Yes, and we are hoping that we are doing the right things for the future filmmakers nga someday makadaog na ang Cebu og worldwide recognition, a film like even greater than Parasite. We're hoping, if not in our generation, we are hoping on the next generation.
So don't be just paving the way for filmmakers, Remton. Be that person who will make the Parasite
We'll
of
try.
the Philippines, right?
We'll try.
Remton, I know you have an engagement. Sorry, I think we're running a little late. We have hopefully some filmmakers or budding filmmakers who are watching this interview right now. Can you share to us your tips and what you have to tell them about filmmaking and the industry that you're in right now? Go ahead, sir.
The filmmaking industry, especially in this digital era, is very, very exciting. It's very exciting, and there are a lot of doors that are left to be opened, and I'm hoping that you guys will get to open it and explore it. The cinema as an industry in itself is in a major crossroads in itself right now. No, With the pandemic, the cinemas are closing. The industry in general is in trying times because of what happened during the pandemic. The surge of the streaming platforms, for example, has changed the viewing habits of the people. And we, like, for example, we are now in an empty cinema. Who would have imagined that cinemas
We
would...
can do this.
Yes, diba?
But it'll be opening soon, though.
Yes. And these, difficult times usually opens up possibilities, new opportunities. And I think cinema is evolving at this moment. And we are at this point in time na everyone is waiting what's next for cinema. Because a lot of people now, the younger generation, prefer to watch Netflix at home than go watch cinema in the big screen.
Mhm.
Even siguro mga people born lately, born in the time of iPad and iPhone, cell phone, murag na ana sila diha ba.
Mm.
But we, of course, we experience this big screen and we know how different it is to watch a film. Watching film for us is a communal experience. You watch films together with other people. You laugh with them. You
Clap with them.
You
Yeah.
get scared with them.
Yeah.
And that's the experience we bring home.
Mm.
And it's very different when you watch alone in
Mhm.
your laptop or your phone or in your flat screen TV. It's very different. And I do hope cinemas like this will not vanish in the future.
Mhm.
But the future is unstoppable. We don't know what will happen to cinema. But my advice to young filmmakers is be ready, because change is really happening in the world of cinema and entertainment in general. We may not, the cinema that we know today may not be the same cinema that will be in the next 5 or 10 years. What opportunities are waiting? So I'm quite excited also what's the future of cinema, and I felt lucky that I'm here to see it, to experience it, and to be hopefully making films for the new cinema in the future. I've seen, I'm a generation that started from walay landline to cell phone to internet to kuan, no. Same with cinema. No, murag paspas kayo. Everything's changing fast, and the only way to survive is to adapt. So, yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful conversation we just had, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We could talk all day and just hang out here in the Ayala Center Cinemas. Remton Zuasola, he is the GAWAD URIAN award-winning director of Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria. If they want to watch your films, because I think it's not just one film, you have many films, including that Show My Love. I'd like to watch that.
Yeah.
And your other films. Where should they go, Direk?
My films are produced by Cinema One Originals.
Okay.
So you can, I think, watch them in their streaming platforms. Sometimes I see them showing in Cinema One, the cable channel. But also there's I1 TV for their online streaming platform. And my last film, Swap, was produced by Solar Entertainment. So they also have, I'm just not sure the streaming platform is, but just search my name.
Yes.
And
Remton
you can see.
Zuasola. Okay, look for Swap, look for Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria, or
Yes.
look for Show My Love, which I'm going to
Yes,
look for
on
tonight. Hopefully I can watch that on YouTube or wherever it's available, right?
Yes, and also I'm also encouraging people to watch not just my films, but the films from other Cebuano directors. The films to watch out for notable Cebuano films, we have a lot of them now. So yeah, just top of my head, like we have Keith Delegero, Christian Linaban, Aura Chaudhry, Kerwin Go. There's also documentary films by Joanna Arong, which are really, really good. And a lot more. There are young filmmakers. One way that you can help them, or us filmmakers, is to watch our films.
Absolutely.
that's if you want to support us, show it by watching the films.
So where can they get in touch with you on the social media platforms, Direk? Maybe they can get in touch with you for whatever reason.
I have my Facebook.
Go ahead.
REMTON ZUASOLA. I have my Instagram also, same name. I don't have Twitter, but yeah, that's where you
Your
should-
latest movie is Swamp.
Yes.
Are you currently in the process of making another film?
I'm currently writing a new script
Okay.
that hopefully gets produced next year.
Okay. Can you give us a clue what it's about and all that stuff? Can you give us a scoop?
You know, I'm aside from filmmaking, I really love traveling.
Okay.
I do long distance trekking, backpacking. So I really want to capture that experience in
Okay.
film. So I've been developing this script of, I don't know if you've heard of the Banana Pancake Trail. It's a backpacking trail around Southeast Asia.
Okay.
You connect like 5 or 6 countries just by backpacking, and it depends on you. It takes like 3 months or
To finish.
to finish.
Wow.
Or
So you're gonna make a movie out of that?
yeah, I want to do a body travel film, backpacking around Southeast Asia.
Okay.
And because
It's like a movie?
it's a movie.
Okay.
So these are two of my greatest passion: travel and film. I
Okay.
want to put them together
Okay.
in one experience.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people have been feeling like imprisoned by
Okay.
their homes, the quarantines, and all that stuff.
How about you make a trekking film about somebody trekking around the 7,107 islands of the Philippines?
Oh, that would be
That's
awesome.
an idea, right? You're not only promoting film, you're also promoting the country.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Remton. I know we're getting a little off schedule. Thank you so much, Remton Zuasola, director extraordinaire. Go look for his films. The latest being Swap. Also check out Show My Love and Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You stay safe.